Now I'm really sorry I'm sick and not there.
Again? Great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to October 2023's full board meeting for Manhattan Community Board 4. My name is Jeffrey. Oh, just kidding. Jeffrey is away at work. He is at a conference this week. He sends his regrets. I'm sure you all can imagine he was sad to miss this. My name is Jessica Chait, and as first vice chair, I'll be standing in for him. Go easy. This is my first meeting chairing. I am pleased to call this meeting to order and want to thank Pier 57 for hosting us today. This is our first time in this space, so we request everyone's patience, and if there are any issues, particularly online, please do your best to let us know. We are going to use the podium here for discussion so everyone can speak in a mic and the folks on Zoom can hear. And so when we do particularly committee reports, we'll do our best to come. Okay, we'll do our best to use the mics and come up here. Our public session will also will ask participants to line up along this wall, and Leslie will be standing in today handling that session, and you'll come up and speak into the mic. As a reminder, we are still, as you can see, somewhat in a hybrid environment. Our New York State open meetings law, full board members are expected to attend this meeting in person unless you have a disability and or an extraordinary circumstance as defined by the New York State open meetings law. Jesse will speak about this a little bit. Excused committee members and members of the public will still be able to participate virtually, and board members who are joining via Zoom, we ask that you leave your cameras on. And for this meeting and in general, we encourage members of the public to join and to join virtually. Our hybrid policy can be found on our website, but as mentioned, Jesse will be speaking about this. And this meeting is streamed live on our YouTube channel. A transcript is being recorded, and the meeting will be live on our YouTube channel and is accessible to the public. As is our custom, we'll have a public session where members will be given the ability to speak during the public session. The agenda for tonight's meeting can be found at our website, or for those who came in, hopefully you received a copy. First up on our agenda this evening is our public hearing on the Statement of District Needs and a budget request for fiscal year 2025. The budget process is chaired by our second vice chair, Leslie Boghosian Murphy, and I'll turn it to her to walk us through that public hearing.
Thank you. Oh, great. Oh, video on Zoom. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. This is the public hearing on Community Board 4's Statement of District Needs for fiscal year 2025. Just for the public, most of the people on the board know, but a shorthand explanation. Over the year, the committees and full board advocate for, review, and comment on projects and proposals in our district. We then have the opportunity to request funding for those items in what's called the Statement of District Needs. This lists the asks in priority and goes to the city and relevant agencies by our budget task force. All those meetings are virtual and will be open and are open to the public. So at this time, I guess we'd like to formally invite the public to comment on Community Board's 4 Statement of District Needs. And I think Jesse said there was one person online, unless there's anyone here that would like to do that as well. Okay. Miriam, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Miriam?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Miriam, I think you're on mute. If you can just click yourself off mute, I think we'll be able to hear you because
I
Jesse brought
did.
you over.
I did.
For what it's worth, Jesse, we can hear her online.
I'm
Oh.
online.
Interesting.
Right, we
So-
can hear her.
Okay. I sent a letter.
Jessica, fix that, please.
I sent a letter to Jesse to be distributed. Was that shared with other members, Jesse, about subways and elevators?
But we can
Mary,
hear-
I don't think they can hear you. So if you don't mind just hanging on 1 second.
And we hear, and Lowell can hear, and we can hear Lowell.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
all
there we
right.
go.
The online community can hear her, but. the
We
people-
got her, Lowell, I think. Miriam, can you just give us
Oh,
a
you got
hello?
it, Leslie, okay.
Hello?
Hi, Miriam, go ahead.
Okay,
This is
okay,
on statement of district needs and you have 2 minutes.
okay. This is something that I brought up at the other budget meeting, and I sent a letter to Jesse. I'm hoping that it was distributed, but to make it fast, I propose making Chelsea accessible for people with disabilities, with elevators on the subway, for people with strollers, luggage, bad backs, knees. 23rd Street has 5 subways, river to river, but only one is accessible. I see it is on the agenda for October 18th to discuss 8th and 6th Avenue. So I will then speak in a little more detail, but this I wanted to bring up. I think it's very important. I'm a member of ACTA, or a participant, which is Disability Activist Meeting with an MTA Committee on Disability. The MTA meetings, I've been told, are not giving elevators to Manhattan, which has more than any of the other boroughs. Priority is to the outer boroughs that have transit deserts. People take buses to the subway, and their outer boroughs are having now priority. So it's going to be a fight for Chelsea. 3 disability organizations that I propose this to said that they have commitments to their members that are all over the city and need elevators. I'm supporting services in Chelsea, which is, I think, not going to be addressed unless we fight for it. The subway is supposed to be accessible by 2055. That's 30 years from now. It's not going to happen, likely to happen in my lifetime unless we fight for it.
Miriam,
I
your
am
time is about
proposing,
up.
let me just finish. This is really important. I'm proposing 6th Avenue as opposed to 8th Avenue because it's the site of Sellis Manor, which is a residence for people
Yes,
with
Miriam, we're aware that's 2 minutes. And I think Jesse did get your email because I know in the budget task force, we got it as well. So we've definitely.
Wait, did you get the one that 6th Avenue was more likely to be approved than 8th Avenue? Because that's part of why I wanted to testify and share that tonight, because Sellis Manor is there.
I'm sure Jesse got it, and we're always open, so we can definitely positively follow up with you on that.
Jesse,
Specifically.
can you distribute that too? I sent you another email after the first one.
Yes, he says he will. I don't know if you could hear him because he's sitting over here. But yes, we will, Miriam. We'll
I
definitely
think
follow up.
8th Avenue is not likely to be approved. 6th Avenue was much more likely to be approved. And I think
Yes,
that's very
and you know
important.
what? If this helps, I know our transportation committee is also aware of it as well. Okay, thank you, Miriam. I think that ends, or anyone else, that closes our public session on statement of district needs. No, it does not. The hearing, I'm sorry, the hearing is closed on the statement, not the statement of district needs. You want me to just keep going? I have the mic. Okay. Oh, sure. Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Charles. Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Is this for the statement of district needs?
Yes.
Oh, great. I will put on your 2 minutes and you can go ahead.
Yes. I was wondering if it's possible to increase the audible pedestrian signals for the blind and visually impaired in the district. Sadly, there's not enough of these really important audio pedestrian signals, and it helps the blind and visually impaired to get out more, to be able to navigate the sidewalks and go about their daily activities with with the knowledge that they can cross the avenues and the streets safely. And I think it's really important that we try to, like I said, increase these audio pedestrian signals. I think it's really important because I think, unfortunately, that is a community that's sometimes gets forgotten about, and I think it's important that we try our best to raise that issue to help all New Yorkers to enjoy our wonderful city. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Jesse, do you see any other hands up? Or we're good? Okay, so now we actually do our closing, the public hearing of our statement of district needs and budget. Thanks. And I will transition with the first vice chair's permission to the regular public session. We have 4 people signed up. First on our list is Miguel Acevedo. I would ask if you, I'm sorry. Do I have a different? Oh, would you like in person first? Or would you like? Okay, why don't you come up and you can use the mic and we'll time you. I have 4 here, Miguel Acevedo, and if Celine Miranda wants to come up too, you can go after Miguel. You get 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. First thing I want to say, I appreciate everything that you board members voluntarily do for our community. Now I have some concerns. I have some concerns about the public meeting CB4 has held regarding the redevelopment at Fulton Elliott. There have been protests against the plan that resulted in assaults on attendees. I believe this is a double standard that is this community board is doing. Penn South recently displaced 5 small minority-owned businesses in order to build mixed income building to preserve the affordability of Penn South. Penn South was originally built by union workers for union workers, yet they leased the land to a developer that will be building with non-union workers. I didn't see any protests or so many public meetings by Community Board 4 when Penn South decided this. This was a solution for them. Where's the solution for us? Fulton Elliott residents are living in apartments that are simply horrific. I ask anyone on this board or any protesters to please feel free to come live with us, and then maybe they will understand the reason why we want this redevelopment to take place, because it's just getting worse and worse at Fulton and Ella Chelsea. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak tonight.
Celine, would you like to come up for 2 minutes? That's okay.
Selena Esmeralda from the Elliott Buildings. HUD cannot authorize demolition of buildings unless they are beyond repair. If our buildings were beyond repair, they would not be habitable. In one of the CB4 meetings, Jonathan from NYCHA went down a list of why they want new buildings, but he could not provide a full list of how the buildings are deteriorating. He included stuff in the budget that does not apply to us. How did amenities become part of the budget? Our amenities are the Hudson Guild and the Parks and Recreation Center. Flood mitigation is not a valid point because we are not in a flood zone area. Also, the city is responsible to handle the floods, not NYCHA. The common grounds, there are no problems outside. The parks and the pavements are not part of the buildings. Upgrading outdoors only benefit Related, who's trying to maintain an image. Related's interest is to maintain and service their clients from the Hudson Yard and other Related buildings. These changes are made to cater to his present clients and the new ones that they expect to obtain, like adding a dog park and this healthy grocer that they are so eager to add onto our development.
next two who I think are in person. One is Nilda Perez. And then to get ready after her would be Isabel Lee. Is Isabel here? No? Okay.
Hi. I'm an Elliott Chelsea resident against demolition. I have a responsibility to my community to say that there are a lot of people who lack the understanding of what a land grab is. They don't understand. With the demolition comes displacement for people who are elderly, disabled, illiterate, and some who are all three. There has been a lot of dishonesty and a lack of transparency on the part of Essence and Related. The elderly people are a vital part of the community, and they are the most at risk of dying from the unnecessary demolition of their homes. I visited the apartments in my building. Other than my own, people live in beautiful apartments. It's crazy that they're saying these apartments are in disrepair. My apartment has been leased since 1964. My grandparents lived there. I have no problems except for plumbing, and they constantly are fixing it. I understand plumbing is a big issue and that needs to be taken care of, but we don't live in disrepair. I never would. I have 2 children. I have a husband with asthma and I take care of my family. I would never allow my family to live in a place that we weren't able to fix and repair, and housing has taken away the workers from the building so they can show that our buildings have garbage all over the place. They have closed the incinerators on us so that we have to take out our stuff from outside. This is a tactic that they have done in other buildings so that they can privatize the buildings and bring in other realtors. So thank you for your time. And no, I don't want demolition. We don't need it.
Thank you. Ms. Lee, is Ms. Lee here? Because she signed up in person. So she was here at one point. No? Okay. So these are the Jesse. Yeah, why don't we move to virtual? It's starting here.
Hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me? Yes, Stephanie, we can hear you. Can you give me 1 second? Jesse, we can't see you or hear you in online anymore.
Oh, you can't see me or hear me?
No,
Okay.
Stephanie, hold on 1 second.
Okay, no worries.
Hey guys, we just lost connection. Everybody, if you're on Zoom, we just lost connection here, so I need to sign back into the system. It'll be a moment. Stephanie, are you still there?
Yep, yes, here. I'm just a mute.
Probably on my thing.
Can everyone online hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
At least our members? Yes. Oh, Carrie, thank you. Okay, great. I guess we will revisit our list, Jesse. So whoever you want to, whatever's easier for you to pull over, then I'll just, yeah, I'll defer to you as far as order. Stephanie, can you hear me? No.
Hi,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Oh, Stephanie, yes, we got you.
Okay,
Thank you so much for being sorry about the technical difficulties, but you get 2 minutes and this is the public session. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Stephanie Mercado Altman. I am the community engagement manager here with New York City Smoke Free. We're a part of Public Health Solutions, which is a local non-for-profit here in the city, which is the largest non-for-profit for public health here. So I just wanted to introduce a little bit about our program. I basically am charged with working with buildings and businesses to help them go smoke-free. Our program is funded, as you should know, by the New York State Bureau of Tobacco Control. So our services to the community are free for whoever we work with, whether that be a building of any sort. We work with market rate, rentals, stabilized housing, anything like that, as well as with businesses as well. And also another part of our program is working with youth throughout the city and in Manhattan too, through ages 13 to 18, where we help them become smoke-free advocates. It's called Reality Check. It's a great opportunity for them to really learn self-efficacy skills, project management skills, public speaking, things like that. So I just wanted to put our name out there. You can feel free to connect with me. My email is saltman@healthsolutions.org, or you can also visit us on our website, which is NewYorkCitySmokeFree.org. And if that doesn't work, Public Health Solutions, and then you can go through the tabs and find us that way. That's really all I had to say. Just wanted to connect with you all, and hopefully we can work together. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thanks.
Kevin, can you hear me? Kevin Collins, is that right, Jesse? Charles, can you hear me? Us live in the room? Is he over? No.
Charles Kramer is over, Leslie, but he's on mute.
Is he? Charles, can you unmute yourself? I think you're on mute.
I guess I was.
Oh, we hear you. Yes, excellent. Welcome to the public session. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Yeah, I didn't choose to speak. I'm having technical issues that I think I pressed the wrong button.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. No, there's a Charles. Phyllis, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Phyllis. Okay, go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts now.
My name is Phyllis Waisman, and I'm a member of the 300 West 23rd, 22nd, and 21st Street Block Associations. When the liquor license application for Chelsea Charming Deli, located at 366 West 23rd Street, came up, I wrote a letter to an email to the owner because in his application, he did not indicate that he was going to have any outdoor seating. And in fact, he has 2 tables and 4 chairs. And he sent me an email back saying that they would be removed, that he was in the process of applying for outdoor seating. But since then, and that was September 6th, it's been almost a month, and every day, those 2 tables and 4 chairs and a sandwich board has been outside of his deli. I know he's applying for a liquor license, but I don't think he's going to be a good neighbor. He's already not following the rules. And I just want to encourage everybody to please reconsider giving this operation a full liquor license. Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. Jesse, who next on your list? Oh, Richard, can you hear me?
Can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Go ahead. Yeah, we hear you. Your 2 minutes starts now.
My name is Richard Marins. I'm part of the steering committee for the Pedestrians for Bike Safety, a coalition of community block associations and individuals in CB4 and from around the city, commenting on the Transportation Committee's letter, which is a great step forward in the effort to take back our streets and sidewalks from out of control bikes and moped riders and restore one of New York City's greatest assets, our ability to walk and ride safely in our city. I'll just run down some of the points. I think it's premature to bring corrals over to 9th Avenue because they're a mess on 8th Avenue, overcrowded with lots of mopeds and people hanging out. We don't want that on 9th Avenue, and we should wait until we get a better handle on this situation with better enforcement. In terms of enforcement, I think the 3 to 6 month notification before ticketing is too long. I think that telling the NYPD not to seize bikes and mopeds that are riding illegally is a real bad idea. It handcuffs the police, and we can't ask them to enforce the law if we don't let them use the tools. Some of the great points are agreeing to make the apps pay, and the general effort that we're all going to be making to educate riders and try to raise the level of awareness of what's legal and illegal. But I want this letter to prioritize the safety of CB4 residents and not the moped and bike riders who are committing illegal acts. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Elka, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Yes, we can. Go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Terrific. Hi. I'm Elka Piers, president of the West 48th Street Block Association, and this is regarding item number 17, Transportation Committee's letter to DOT and the electeds regarding pedestrian and bike rider safety. So on behalf of my block association, we want to say it's an excellent letter that addresses many of the issues concerning safety for bikers and pedestrians alike. Many of the issues, but not all, and we support and agree with what Richard just said. And besides that, we would urge the board to approve the letter. Thank you.
Elka, thank you very much. Ron, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Now we're running smoothly. Ron, your 2 minutes starts now.
Thank you. My name is Ron Wisniewski. I'm a member of Pedestrians for Bike Safety. I'd like to just agree with Elka and Richard on what they've just said and reinforce the idea in the letter. First of all, they did a great job with the letter, distilling all of the various ideas into a coherent proposal. And thank you to Christine and everyone on Transportation Committee for doing that. I agree with Richard, we don't need any more bike corrals. The streets are already chaos, and we don't need more meeting places for the delivery workers. That should be something that should be done by the apps, supplying a place for the delivery workers to wait for their next order, especially with winter coming. The 3 to 6 month notification education period for the police. Well, we've been waiting quite a long time already to get some enforcement on the streets to clear up this problem. And we certainly don't need a longer waiting period to educate people. They know they're breaking the law. They just need to be ticketed. And yes, I agree with Richard as well that they should seize the vehicles that are breaking the law, and they should take them, as they did just once, as far as I know, to Hunts Point and run them over with a steamroller. And publicity like that will clear up the problem very quickly. And enforcement, again, is the #1 priority, I think, for everybody involved in this issue. We need tickets written and we need fines levied and we need punishment for bad behavior, because people are getting killed now on the streets of New York, being run over by these e-bikes and e-vehicles. Thanks very much. And thanks again to the Transportation Committee. I urge you all to approve their letter. Thank you.
Ron, right on time. Thank you. Hi, Lisa. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Great. You know the drill.
I know the drill, and I left my concise and fact-filled packed remarks on the desk at work, so I'm just going to wing it. So I'll still try to be super concise. My name is Lisa Wager. I'm the Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY College on 27th Street between 7th and 8th, with a residence hall of 1,000 people on 31st Street west of 9th, which puts us in the district. A new exhibition opened recently at the museum at FIT, which is, as you know, the only museum in New York City devoted to fashion, and we are open free to the public Tuesday through Saturday. The exhibition is Food and Fashion. It explores how food themes and motifs were used to comment on critical topics from luxury. Whoops, I'm reading from a letter that's not about this. Luxury, something I can't read, consumerism and sustainability, social activism, and body politics. Fashion designers have turned to food themes and motifs to comment on critical topics ranging from cultural identity to sustainability, social activism, and body politics, and ideas related to femininity, domesticity, nostalgia, and consumerism. The exhibition features over 90 works, including garments, accessories, and textiles by designers such as Chanel, Delvaux, Comme des Garçons, Judith Lieber, Issey Miyake, William Morris, Moschino, Frederick Worth, Jason Wu. It's quite comprehensive. We are giving a free guided tour, which we do once for every exhibition for our neighbors on Monday, November 13th, which the museum is closed on Mondays. We open it and have these very private guided tours. If anyone from CB4 or who's listening would like to attend, please either let Jesse know and I'll send him the sign up, or you can contact me directly at Lisa_Wager at fitnyc.edu. And I'll have more interesting things to say next time with notes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can. Great. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Great. My name is Michael Harachi. I am a resident of Community Board 4. I am going to make a general comment about the upcoming legislation that we all know as congestion pricing. I think that everybody in this room is a stakeholder, whether we're pedestrians, whether we're cyclists or drivers. We all have interest in how the policy is rolled out. I think that I would love to see as much coordinated, concerted passion and efforts to combat traffic violence in terms of 5,000-pound vehicles that are known as cars, trucks, and SUVs that pose significant danger and risk to pedestrians, cyclists, and other drivers as well. I think that we can do more in terms of expanding and implementing a universal red light speed acoustic program. We can make Broadway completely car-free, separating east from west traffic. We can shrink all delivery fleets, implementing off-peak delivery hours. We can enforce citizens enforcement. We can focus on expanding our antiquated public transportation system with through fare. We can remove enforcement from the police. They have been known to be unreliable and untrustworthy in terms of placard abuse and other traffic violations. I think that I would love to see our committees focus on the #1 violent vehicle on the road, which is cars, trucks, and SUVs. And I'm very happy to see the progress that we've made so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Jesse, do you have the next? Oh, last one. Okay, because I have more on here, but I guess you don't. Or should I call them if you checked? Oh, okay. Mike, can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, great.
I guess you're
I guess
talking to me.
I am talking to you. I guess you're for
Okay.
public session, right?
I am indeed, yeah.
Great. Here are your 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I am a member of the board and also a resident of the Elliott houses. And I didn't expect to speak tonight, but I heard a couple of comments about the redevelopment proposals and all. And just to get a couple of thoughts in. First off, folks should get ready for that meeting tomorrow night. That Housing, Health and Human Services Committee is having, full-blown thing going on. So sign up for that. That'll be more informative than most of the stuff we've heard, I think, thus far. I just want to make I welcome Miguel Acevedo's comments earlier. Every day it's another learning session for many of our residents here. And I speak to people and I give them the lecture and I go run down everything. And for the most part, folks just aren't aware of much of what they were given to read in all the handouts that NYCHA gave before the meetings and all that business, before the vote, the survey, whatever you want to call it. So I get to tell everybody these things. And I say, look, why don't you go back and see if you can find some of that stuff and read it over. In the meantime, let me tell you what's happened here from day one until now. And each and every one of these people, and I'm talking about 20, 30 at least people that I've spoken to, once they've heard the details, from day one at the working group's first meeting to today, every one of them agrees and is excited about what's about to happen. All right. Most of them are misinformed about who gets to move out, who has to move out, blah, 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 the timelines, what they're getting, what they're not getting. And
Mike, your 2 minutes is up.
Yeah,
Can you just
well,
wrap up? Your 2 minutes are up.
anyway, I just wanted to let you know that, folks are generally in favor of everybody. No, not generally. Unanimous in the people that I've spoken to. Okay, that's about it.
Great. Great. Okay, thank you. There's
Okay.
one more person. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me? This is Wendy.
Lindsay, iPad 129.
Wendy.
Oh, Wendy. I'm sorry,
Yes,
Wendy.
yes, that's
Are-
me.
And
Great.
you want to talk in the public session, correct?
I would like just a couple of minutes. Yes, please. I'm
Absolutely.
having
Go ahead. Your 2
terrible
minutes
time with
start
Zoom. Okay, I've
You-
got my timer set. I work in television, so I'm good with time. I just believe from what I've heard and from what I've read, there was a lot of information that was given and has been misinterpreted by people that are living in Fulton houses. I live down the street from Fulton, and as I walked by today, 419, the bricks at the bottom of the building are beginning to fall out. There are electrical wires hanging down. I know the inside of the buildings because I now work with the police department, and I've seen a lot of the insides. When they spoke, a woman was speaking the other day of putting a picture up and having the walls crumble. I've seen the pipes. My understanding is that demolition and then moving people out in stages into the newer buildings would then give them what the rest of us have, which is plumbing, electricity, control over our own heat and hot water. And I believe at this point, if they don't do something drastic, the only other option will be eventually they'll be demolished. And I think that would be a shame. It happened in my sister's neighborhood in Chicago, where they were simply demolished, not relocated to nicer, newer buildings in the same area, in the same place. So there you go. That's my 2 cents worth from a neighbor on 19th Street.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Jesse, is that it for the public session? Okay, great. The public session is closed. Here you go, Jess.
Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you also all for your patience as we dealt with that Zoom issue. We will now adopt the agenda. You all have a copy. I just want to note that the new business in the housing is simply because they didn't have quorum at last month's meeting, and it really is an opportunity to encourage everyone to participate fully in their committee meetings by being in person so that we can achieve quorum and have the agenda reflected accordingly. But you all have a copy. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Thank you. Second, Bert, thank you. You also have a copy of the minutes. I want to thank Roberta and Katie for the minutes this month. Can we get a motion to adopt the minutes? Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Second, JD, thank you. Up next, we will hear from our elected officials. We're very lucky to have Gail Brewer, Councilwoman, here in person. We will turn it over to you to give us your update. Sorry? Yes, of course.
Thank you very much, Community Board 4. A couple of issues. First of all, I know that at 301 West 55th Street, as the Block Association knows, there is a illegal smoke shop. And it has been the target of the Office of Cannabis Management by the state and the district attorney. And at this point, there have been at least 2 buys there. They need 3 to really close it down. But the district attorney at the same time has contacted the owner and the lawyers for the owner. There has been a sign plastered on the building stating illegal. And guess what? Somebody tore it down. So this could be your test case as to closing these darn things. I had a principal crying on the phone this week because students are vaping in the high schools, and that's never happened before. So this has to happen. These illegal shops need to close. So I just want to say you could be the one that is the first test case on all of the legislation that is forcing them to close, but you can see how hard it is. 3 buys, and then they still have to go through an administrative procedure to close it. But we are working on it really hard, and I want to thank the Black Association. Number 2, Harborview, which is in Board 4, has a wonderful donor. He has decided to pay for paint, graphics, wonderful ability to fix up the basketball court with new lights, water, plantings, amazing murals. And not only for the basketball court, but also for the 2 playgrounds. Apparently he walks by and decided to put in, I don't know, about $6 or $7 million into this project. 55th Street between 10th and 11th, Harborview. Now, he knows that Gail Brewer's project of having affordable housing permanently there with Board 4's support will go in at some point. So he knows that, and he's still willing to put the money in for the basketball, the lights, the water, the plantings. I was there yesterday. There were 50 people from the community and a wonderful professional painters doing this work. So just so you know, it's really exciting, and you should go by and see the work that's being done. We're going to try to do some press next week, thanking him and letting you know that this is all happening. So I just want to bring that up. Something positive was very nice. I also want to mention, not exactly, but I do not like the fact that Global Citizen Festival tore up the Great Lawn. They had a festival one day, and then the next day the lawn was all torn up. So I suppose they're going to fix it up, but meanwhile, none of us can use a Great Lawn at all. And so just so you know, I think the Great Global Citizen Festival should move, go to arena, go somewhere where you can have people. And if it rains again, we could end up with the same mess. So just so you know, I'm pushing for that. We did a graffiti survey, 55th to 108th Street, and we found 370 with all of my interns graffiti examples. I want to thank the Department of Sanitation because they're now in charge of removing it from buildings. They are going to the buildings that we identified. They are calling the owners, making them take it off. So far, they have 8 gone, and I think we have another 20 to go. Post office is terrible. They don't even give you paint. So just so you know, if you have somebody doing this on a regular basis, that's one thing, but not every neighborhood does. So we're working on the graffiti issue. Congestion pricing. So I think you know that October 16th with the community board, 4, 7, and 8, we're going to walk from Hudson River to the East River along 60th Street. Because there are some situations where the building is on one side of 60th Street and the garage is on the other. So we're going to figure out all of the challenges at 60th Street with the MTA, with DOT, what it presents. So I know that your board knows about it. You're welcome to join us. I just want to be sure you know about that. We have passed a couple of bills recently, lots of bills with Councilmember Botcher on the issue of having more trees. We figured out how to have some firefighters who were not able to take the exam from EMS to firefighter. They're going to be able to do that. The issue of e-bikes is number one on my complaint list from people calling. So we're doing a couple of things. We are hopefully going to pass a bill that says when you have a bike shop, when you're selling e-bikes, you're selling mopeds, some of which are illegal, you have to have a license as a shop, because that means that the city agencies can go there and close down the shop because now you have a license and you're selling an illegal product. So we're trying to figure out different ways. I also support Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel's bill in Albany to license, but it hasn't passed yet, but we support that. And we also want safety courses and making sure that the apps equip delivery workers with headlights and taillights and so on. So we have a task force on Board 7, Board 4 attended. We're trying to figure out some low hanging fruit while we're waiting for Albany to do what they should do, but it is a huge issue. I don't need to say it's not, I know very well. 59th Street is a sort of border between a little bit north of you, but it does have a building that was owned by folks from Manhattan Neighborhood Network. They sold it to Project Renewal. Even before the neighbors there were upset, I felt that if you have a brand new building, it should be for permanent housing. You know, it shouldn't be for a shelter, but I lost. So we're still fighting. People are upset. You have a brand new building. Gail Brewer, I support safe havens. I support mental health places for people to live against neighborhoods who are complaining. But for goodness sake, brand new building, make it permanent housing. I don't think we're going to win the fight, but I'm darn sure going to keep fighting along with the community. Those are some of the things we're working on. I hope you get our newsletter. I might be in trouble, but I think it's the best in the city. And it lists, without giving you paper, it lists all the events we're working on, from shredding to older adults being able to understand technology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I hope you're able to see that. And I look forward to continue to working with you. That's just some of the things that we're working on. Sirens is another one. Bills to try to make sure that there is some kind of rumbler and not that loud piercing sound that so many people hate. Thank you very much, Board 4.
Thank you, Gail. We have, if we need to do mics, so unless we can get one more mic. out
Okay.
there.
Oh, I thought you were calling Mike. Mike, I thought you meant Mike. Sorry.
Sorry, we have one question. We'll start with a question. No, you do, because they can't hear you on Zoom.
Just wanted to say, Gail,
Yes, sir.
it is the best newsletter, and I've been meaning to compliment whoever compiles it.
John Houston.
It's terrific, and I would suggest all the other electeds just sign into your
You
newsletter.
can get me in a whole lot of trouble, sir.
No, really, it's so informative. It's terrific, and it's very well written.
Thank you very much.
One more question from Mike Noble on the Zoom. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, well, here to that, JD, that is quite the informative newsletter that we get. It's got everything in it. But I was fascinated to hear that some private person is actually donating to public housing. And what's that?
It's quite phenomenal. And I have to say that NYCHA's nonprofit with a new director is supporting the effort. It's blew my mind.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, number one, I mean, sometimes in situations like this, you would expect that there would be some roadblock to having that happen. They don't want your money in some sense. And I wonder whether other leadership would have allowed this to happen. So I'm curious to know, was it a rigorous mechanism that allowed this to happen? How long did it take?
It's a good question. I think what happened is there's a new director of the nonprofit at NYCHA. And I believe, I could be wrong, that he came from Bloomberg LP. He's incredibly smart. And
boy.
he enabled this project to go forward. I believe the money's going through them to the painters and the individuals who are doing the work. I mean, they were cleaning the guardrails. There are 24 languages saying welcome. You have to go see it. I mean, it's beautifully done. So
Yeah,
on all aspects, it's plus.
Yeah, well, there has never been any consideration of this as being a source of revenue for nights. Never.
There's
Everywhere else.
no revenue here. It's just the
Ever,
gentleman is
ever.
doing this. But thank you for
Yeah.
noticing that.
Okay, thanks, Gail. Thank you.
You, Councilmember. I don't think we have any other electeds represented here in person. I'm just doing a quick scan of the room. So we are going to move to the Zoom screen. And I believe we have Keisha Sutton James representing Manhattan Borough President's office, Mark Levine's office. Keisha, are you with us?
Sorry, it just took me a moment to get off of mute.
Oh, we hear you now.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Happy good evening, of course, and happy October. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. Really quickly, wanted to highlight the fact that Borough President Levine attended the 10th anniversary Highline Art Dinner and the West Side Fest kickoff breakfast over the last week or so. West Side Fest was this weekend, I believe. So those have been two great events in your district. This afternoon, we actually hosted our first immigration workshop, a Know Your Rights panel that was at the Frederick Douglass Community Center. And we recorded that. We brought together a number of different agencies and not-for-profits to provide information and resources to the immigrant community, the migrant community. There were people from 7 or 8 different countries in both South America and Africa for the most part. I think we had a couple of people from Suriname as well. So we recorded that. It should be up on our website in a week or so. So please share that out with people because there's so much information. So please share that out with anyone that you think could use it. We also started having, again, our community board training webinars. We did one last month. Thank you so much to all the community board members who attended. We had one on COIB, the Conflict of Interest Board, as well as one on equal employment opportunity. So thank you all for attending. We are actually kicking off our leadership training series. So those were the 2 mandatory sessions on COIB and EEO. We also strongly encourage our board members to attend the classes in our leadership training series, which covers more conflict of interest, the city budget, conflict resolution, and de-escalation, land use, and a number of other topics. It's going to be held the week of November 13th with several different sessions, and details are going to be shared with board members in the coming weeks. We hope you will attend those as well, so you can be really well trained up. A couple more things. We are having our an MBPO Day of Action. We launched as many of you know, a volunteer corps, and we've already got 400 or so volunteers that are working with us. We are still looking for more, and we're going to be having a day of action where we're identifying now several sites throughout the borough that we will be doing community cleanups on. So please come to our website. There's a link on the website to the volunteer corps for people to be able to sign up for that. And the day of action is going to be on November 4th from 12 to 2. So we'll be sharing out more information soon about the actual locations for that. Also coming up, a couple more things. Next week, I'm jumping a month, October 11th, our office, along with HPD and SBS, Small Business Services, is going to be hosting an MWBE Contractors Fair at the Adam Clayton Powell State Office Building from 3 to 6 p.m. So we're really looking to bring HPD approached us. We're seeking our help in bringing more MWBE businesses into their pipeline, whether there's contractors or like locksmiths or mold abaters or what have you, just different types of contractors at different levels of contracts with the city, and because they're really focused on bringing people into the pipeline and then helping to move them up the pipeline. That is happening again next Wednesday. Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. Our office's Hispanic Heritage Month, where we will be lifting up the work of Latinos in tech, will be on October 17th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the 92nd Street Y. Will be an opportunity to connect and acknowledge people in the tech industry who are working to improve access to careers and tech innovation and equity across that industry. So it'll be a fantastic event. Hoping that you will join us there. And then finally, please, COVID cases are still at elevated levels. We're reminding people to please get boosted. Many pharmacies, including larger chains, are now making appointments for the recently released vaccine. You can find the location to get your booster at vaccinefinder.nyc.gov. Additionally, of course, if you haven't already signed up, please go to the federal website, federal government website, to get your free set of 4 test kits sent to you, and you can request those at covid.gov.tests. That's it. That's all I got for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Keisha. It looks like we have one question from Lowell. Lowell, go ahead.
Keisha, the borough president's office is entitled to 3 seats on the board of the Hudson River Park Trust. Those 3 seats are supposed to be filled, 1 person from Community Board 1, 1 person from Community Board 2, and 1 person from Community Board 4. The Community Board 4 seat has been empty for 6 months. Does the borough president plan on ever replacing someone in that seat?
I'm sure that we do, for certain. I can check in with the team member who does that work. I know that team has been, or that person who has been really focused on, he does all of our appointments, has been really focused on our CSC appointments. But I will certainly take this back to the team and push that along, because obviously you need to have representation.
Thank you, Keisha. Thank you, Lowell.
My pleasure.
All right, thanks for joining us this evening. We're going to move on to Dana Schmerzler, representing State Senator Liz Krueger.
Nice to see you all. Senator Krueger is actually on the other side. Would you be able to bring her over, Jesse?
I have attempted, Dana, and she's declined twice. So I'm happy to do it for a 3rd time. I love Liz very much, but I was told if she's rejecting me.
Okay, let me just, she said she has not rejected you.
Yeah. Whether she meant to or not, she did.
Okay, do you mind just trying one more time?
We're going to try one more time.
Thank you.
I didn't think I rejected you either, Jesse. I would never do that.
Oh, thank you, Keisha. I'm starting to get a complex.
It wasn't showing up.
Yeah, she said nothing's coming up. That
All
she
right, I'm going to see if she can I'm going to allow her to speak. Unfortunately, that doesn't allow her to turn her camera on, but it does give her phone to be able to work. Oh, now it's working. Oh, no, she declined. Okay, here we go. Liz, if you come off mute, you should be able to speak. Be heard, I'm sorry. Can always speak. Because she's now over on panel, but she just needs to unmute. Oop.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Liz.
You can hear me. I so apologize. I honestly have not rejected you in any way, shape, or form, but nothing's coming through to let me go on visually. So I'm very glad to be here sort of with you all tonight. Appreciate your allowing me a few minutes. And for the record, I love my updates newsletter, but I might also argue Gail's is amazing. And the quantity of work that Gail does and reports on constantly, frankly, intimidates every other elected official in the city. So I don't even know that I want to speak after her, but I just wanted to raise a couple of points. I know that a number of people in the public forum time were talking about the concerns about dangerous and safer bikes and electric vehicles and the illegal mopeds and everywhere. And I'm very glad to hear them talking about this. I have been participating with both, I think, their group and the electric vehicle safety community group. I'm getting EVSA, I'm getting their name wrong, I apologize. And been meeting with many people about these concerns. And there is more we clearly have to do. I also support Brad's bill to require registration of bikes. because you can't track people if you don't have some way to do so. But I'm also very pleased to announce that I've passed a number of bills this year in the legislature that I think can be helpful. One is that if the vehicle is not legal to be ridden in the city of New York, stores can no longer sell them. So I think Gail was referencing having somebody from the city go out and investigate stores and licensing if they have no licenses. But this would specifically, it already specifically outlaws that you can't even sell vehicles that are not approved vehicles in the city of New York. And that's things like the three-wheeled ATVs, the fake mopeds that are not actually covered by DMV law correctly, and a number of other products. So we're pretty excited about that being able to help decrease the number on our streets, because they'll no longer be able to be sold here. We also passed a bill, S1246, that if you leave the scene of an accident while driving a scooter or e-bike without reporting it, that it has to be consistent with the laws for leaving the scene of an automobile crash. And so you can get significant fines and points on licenses, and even removal of driver's licenses if you leave the scene of a crime when you are the driver of a scooter or e-bike. We are also very pleased that we've been able to move legislation S4394, providing businesses using bicycles for commercial purposes in the city of New York shall be responsible for certain of the traffic infractions by the bicycle operators on their behalf. So again, it's a continued effort to hold the employers responsible for not training and making sure that the people riding the bikes and electric bikes as their job and the mopeds as their job are following the laws correctly. I also heard Gail talk about, maybe others did, the continuing problems of the illegal cannabis shops. And yes, the state of New York passed a bill, it got rolled into the budget, but it was my bill to increase the penalties and the ability to go after the illegal stores. I think the governor just announced a big crackdown today with city officials. And I know I've been working with the Times Square Alliance to do a targeted hit on so many illegal stores there. Also been working with DA Bragg, who is following through on a law that we found on the books from the 1880s, but reinforced with the new state law, that if a landlord is renting to an illegal cannabis shop, we can actually go after the landlord under public nuisance and what's called the bawdy house rules. And we are notifying, and the DA has been doing a good job of this, notifying the landlord that they might not know they leased out their space to an illegal shop, and they're going to get the penalties if they don't evict them. And then it actually allows the DA's office to jump in and speedily do an eviction in the courts on the grounds that it's an illegal shop and should not be allowed to stay open. And so if any of you want to report illegal shops, please do, either through my office or through the Office of Cannabis Management. But also, if you know who the landlord renting that space to them is, it's actually very helpful for us to know that also, because it gives us that public nuisance bawdy house option for getting them evicted as quickly as possible. And the fines now, when we go after them, it's up to $10,000 a day. And they can have all their other licenses pulled. So if a shop has a license to sell CBD and or tobacco, if it gets hit with these fines for illegal actual cannabis, they lose the other licenses as well. So we do think that we've strengthened the ability to go after these stores. NYPD is participating more, Office of Cannabis Management, the Sheriff's Office, and also, interestingly, New York State Tax and Finance, who actually have a universe of people who can pull product that's being sold without following tax laws, and they can't be following tax laws because they're a legal product, if that all makes sense to you. I think I've probably taken up too much time, but again, people should know already Dana Schmersler, who is representing me on Community Board 4 and is excellent about getting back to me on almost everything every day. So please do feel free to reach out through Dana. And I'm happy to take questions if you want to allow some. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We appreciate the update. We have a few more people we're going to pull from, and I don't see anyone clamoring, so I'm gonna suggest we move on. But thank you so much for joining us and for your update.
Thank you for having me.
With that, we'll move to Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, wonderful. Nice to see everyone. I guess I'm not on camera, but that's probably a good thing. You know, following Gail Brewer and Liz Kruger, I don't know if anyone remembers that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that describes my two colleagues and how much hard work they do. And very happy to share a lot of the efforts in connection with illegal cannabis. I do appreciate Senator Kruger's expertise. You know, we're having a hearing on illegal cannabis and the shops themselves up in Albany. Liz, I think, is going to be one of the conveners as the chair of the Senate Finance Committee. And that's going to be on October 30th, I believe. Excuse me. Yes, October 30th. And up in Albany. So we'll be able to ask OCM some of these tough questions, including the fact that I asked the governor the other day when she came to Chelsea Market, which was, why hasn't the state granted the city the authority to shut down cannabis shops? We heard from the first deputy mayor, Assemblywoman Rosenthal, and I, that the city claims it doesn't have authority. The state says the city has authority. Honestly, it is maddening, the finger pointing, and we really need to get to the bottom of it, and I hope we can in part at that hearing. But I wanted to begin my brief report with an update on our colleague, Jacob Riley. Many of you might know that Jacob Riley, who was my former chief of staff and served the West Side for years, was critically injured last Friday, September 29th, in a bike crash. I just want to thank everyone who's reached out to his family, who contributed to the GoFundMe effort. Over 1,000 people have done so, including Bill and Hillary Clinton, who donated like an enormous sum to help the family, which was really very touching, as well as many of my colleagues. And he's doing the best he can, and we're all pulling for him. Second, wanted to thank Community Board 4 for the years of hard work around Bayview, the former correctional facility. We had a fantastic meeting the other week with ESD and other state officials, and thrilled to reiterate the point that this is going to be 100% affordable and supported housing that would not have happened without Community Board 4's involvement and, frankly, insistence. The governor on September 26th announced the release of requests for proposals for the site. That's going to mandate 50% of the units be supported and 50% be low-income affordable housing. In addition, the site's going to include residential step-down housing, which is going to provide a higher level of care for those with serious mental illnesses. The RFP is also going to require, again, at CB4's insistence, that proposals provide community facility use. You know, they have that amazing swimming pool, and historic preservation. All those cool terracotta tiles will be preserved as part of this plan. And the RFP directly links to your housing plan, CB4's housing plan, and there are scoring incentives based on responsiveness to CB4's plan. I had another meeting with CB4 about housing, and many of your housing experts were there. We've identified state-owned sites. Assemblymember Simone and I really want to do something creative in connection with the state and those sites, and we'll be speaking more to CB4 about that. Third, limited liability companies, not to be dissociated with housing, because it's a key part of the housing puzzle, many tenants don't know who their landlord is because owners hide behind LLCs, a special corporate structure that was invented relatively recently. But it would require LLCs to disclose who their beneficial owners are to the public. A government watchdog group reported a couple of weeks ago that over a third of Manhattan real estate is owned by these types of shell companies. That's 5 times the national average. And these LLCs are using their anonymity to commit crimes such as cheating tenants, money laundering, funding for terrorism, wage theft, and more. And so we held a rally out in Senator Kruger and Assemblymember Simone's district at 111 West 57th Street, notorious LLC-owned building, to urge the governor to sign the bill. And I wanted to thank Senator Kruger and Assemblymember Simone and many of our colleagues for being there and echoing our call to action. Finally, I'll say, I'm chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and there have been a lot of issues around family court. Family court oversees important areas such as adoption, guardianship, foster care, domestic violence, and overwhelmingly serves indigent litigants and people of color. But it is a dehumanizing court, as it has been described. So we are going to have a hearing in mid-October. It's scheduled for Wednesday, October 18th at 250 Broadway. I'll continue to work on the illegal cannabis shops with my colleagues and also help asylum seekers get employment. Yesterday, I joined Governor Hochul. She announced a new online platform that's going to connect recent arrivals with work permits to employers with over 18,000 open jobs. That evening, I went up to the synagogue, B'nai Jeshurun, and there was a man who has 2 graduate degrees from Venezuela, has his work permit, is ready to be employed. And so we're going to connect him to that job site. I hope he is successful. Finally, we're having a senior resource fair that is going to take place on October 24th at the Lincoln Square Neighborhood Center at 250 West 65th Street. You're going to have access to services, information. 50 organizations will be there. Government agencies, Medicaid Rights Center, the Met Council on Housing, flu shots. I want to thank Natalie from my team for helping put this together. She is the best, but I don't have to tell you that. I think you know it already. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. We have one question if you have just one more minute to stay with us.
Yes.
Hi, Senator. It's Leslie Boghosian Murphy. How are you?
Hey, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, or at least talk to you. I just wanted to thank you and your office from West 55th Street Block Association, your attention to the illegal cannabis shops. I know there was one on 55th Street that you had really helped us out with. But I just wanted to give you an update, and maybe, you guys can figure this out when there's a lot to figure out. I guess OCM raided them, this one particular shop the other day. And to no one's surprise, they slapped a big sticker that illegal cannabis was found, which was great. And we were all very happy. The very frustrating part of it is the next day they were open and they, I guess, illegally took that sign down. So they just scraped the sign off and then they're selling again. So I know you know this is a problem all over, but just.
No, we're aware of that location.
Thank you.
301 West 55th Street. Natalie and I have spoken to OCM multiple times about that location. We were insistent that they conduct the raid. I'm glad they did. But this is whack-a-mole, folks. I mean, as soon as you shut one down, they pop up again in another location or the same location. I think we need to find out what criminal enterprise is behind these shops. It requires money, effort, and organization to open these shops. And, I'm hopeful that whether it's the district attorney or someone else uses the RICO statute to also enforce our laws. But again, The finger pointing has to stop, Leslie. I couldn't agree more. We need to give the city enforcement powers to assist OCM, which is short-staffed. The Department of Taxation and Finance is well-meaning, but I don't think their expertise is shutting down illegal weed shops. So we really need an all hands on deck approach, and I really thank you. And we will continue to raise the alarm on this shop, 301 West 55th and others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator, for joining us and for your update on all of these items, this in particular. And I appreciate everyone's patience as we get through the end of the electeds. We do have Robin Forrest from the mayor's office. So Robin, if you want to join us and give a brief update.
Hi, thanks so much. Picking up on Senator Hoylman's mention of the monies made available by the state to help asylum seekers, particularly those who have recently received temporary protected status from Venezuela, to get legal services and case management. And the story he told about the 2 PhD'd Venezuelan person sounds like somebody we need in our workforce. So the asylum seekers are going to get help putting in their applications for TPS and work authorization, and hopefully that will remove some of the burden that is facing our city with the asylum seekers. I don't know if people heard, but the mayor has created a telehealth service to New Yorkers through New York Health and Hospitals to make abortion care available through telehealth. People will have the ability to have a consultation with a medical provider and determine whether or not it's appropriate to get medication as required and needed by the patient. So I think that's a step forward. We're the first city in the country to offer that. The other thing I wanted to mention, I don't recall if I mentioned it last time, and I don't want to take too much time, but the ability to text with the mayor, text with Eric. I don't know that I talked about it last time, but I did want to mention it. In the mayor's own words, you know, he's hit me up, New York, and he has offered a phone number, and you can sign up to send text messages and receive messages, obviously not all of them directly from the mayor, but from the mayor's team. I tried it, it worked. And if you're interested, you have a question, you don't want to call 311, or you feel it's something that needs a more direct touch, I'll give you the number, which is, I can put it in the chat also, 917-909-2288. And it's part of the mayor's plan to be in contact with New Yorkers as much as possible. So again, 917-909-2288. And thank you for the chance to speak. If anybody has questions, happy to answer them. I know.
Thank you, Robin. We do have one question. If you'll just give us a second while we get the mic. We are going to limit the questions to board members at this time. And for those who have their hand up, we see you on Zoom and encourage you to be in touch with Jesse, who will route your question.
Fine, perfect.
Hi, Robin. Joe Restuccia from the Housing Committee.
Hi, how are you?
I hope that text would be working, because we had another migrant shelter open in our district at the Ramada Inn at 343 West 44th with no notice either to community board or to the council member. In fact, we found out about this from the Block Association, and we informed the council member. About it. He had not one piece of information about it.
Is that Botcher? Is that Councilmember
Botcher.
Okay.
So again, you know, we appreciate.
Yeah, that should not be happening.
Right. And the fact that he didn't know and we didn't know at the same time is really bad in this whole process that we've been in together for so long. So if you could address that and then make sure, we didn't even know what agency is operating it.
Why don't I connect with Jesse tomorrow for more detail, and maybe you and I could talk directly. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, because those notifications are supposed to be going out. Is that the Ramada on 57?
343 West 44th.
Oh, 343 West 44th. Okay, Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
I will
Thank you
see
for
what I can
joining us.
find out. Thank you very much.
Okay. We are now going to move on and we are going to turn it to Jesse for the district manager's update, followed by I'll give the chair report on behalf of Jeffrey.
Hi, everybody. Jesse Bodine, District Manager, CB4. Hold on, sorry. You'd think I was prepared.
Hi.
Just to
my
reiterate,
Zoom is continuing. I'm in a meeting for work.
Okay. Sorry. Hybrid meeting policy remains in effect. The office will be creating an online form for members to request for extraordinary circumstances and or disability accommodation. If you have any questions about that, please contact me directly and I can walk you through it. The form is not ready yet. It will be. Budget process, I think Leslie did most of the good talking about it already, but I will just remind folks that this is the month that all the committees need to be voting out their budget budget requests and priority orders for the budget task force to kind of put it all together at the end of the month and vote it out in November. We also have a survey, a statement of district needs survey. We do this every year. We've done this in the last few years. It's on our website. Please feel free to promote that survey on your own social medias, anywhere you can, to get 5 or 10 more people that take 5 minutes to fill it out. Community Board Executive Officer elections. So the nominating committee for has been selected. It will be chaired by Alice Wang. It will include Christine Berthet, Aurora Cruz, Matt Green, Carrie Keenan, Raul Larios, and Charlie Todd. And so it'll be meeting in the month of October. So anybody who is interested in running for any of the executive officer positions who have not done so already, please send me an email with a resume. October committee schedule. Arts, Culture, Education, and Street Life Committee will be meeting on Tuesday, October 17th at 6:30. Not its normal time due to the holiday on the Monday, this upcoming Monday. Budget Task Force will be meeting Thursday, October 19th at 6 p.m. The Cannabis Task Force will be holding a public meeting on Tuesday, October 24th. Like we said, the nominating committee will be meeting on Thursday, October 26th. And all other committees should be meeting at their regular time. I think that's it. No. Sure. The question was, how long is the survey open till? I think we gave it to the 16th to be able to compile everything and get it back to the committee in time to be able to sort of put together the data. Good question.
Thank you, Jesse. On behalf of Jeffrey, I'm delivering the chair report. Since our last meeting, the Port Authority Working Group continues to meet. We still continue to have participation and active meeting schedule on the Pier 76 task force, which actually takes place in this room. NYCHA, I hope everyone saw the email that went out that came from the office just earlier today, referencing our updated materials on our website. It includes an FAQ, past presentations, a timeline, and recordings of past meetings, really in an effort to get as much information out into the community and to all those who see our materials. Looking ahead, representatives from NYCHA will be attending both the Housing, Health, and Human Services meeting for tomorrow, as well as the Chelsea Land Use Committee meeting on the 16th of October. CLU and Chelsea Hell's Kitchen Land Use leadership, met with DCP for a briefing on the Midtown South mixed use study. We continue to meet with electeds, both at the city with Councilman Member Botcher and city planning. In the state, you heard Senator Hoylman Siegel speak about our efforts to move forward our housing plan. Transportation leadership met with elected officials regarding congestion pricing infrastructure being installed on the sidewalks in our district. District Manager Jesse Bodine continues to attend the New York Forward Garment District Capital Improvement Program meetings. ACES members met with superintendent of both elementary, middle, and high school superintendents to discuss budget requests for CD4 schools. And BLP leadership met with residents of West 24th, 25th Street and the SLA applicant for 11 West 24th Street. I do want to also just mention that we are getting a lot of inquiry and applications around cannabis, as was mentioned. And as we look to formalize this process, we did create a cannabis task force chaired by Jesse Greenwald, and the group will be meeting next on October 24th. With that, we will now move to our committee business. We've arrived. We'll hear from our committees, beginning with ACEs. We are going to ask each presenter to come to the mic, and then we'll take in-person questions followed by questions from the board. We do have some handheld mics, so if you kind of indicate that you'd like to ask a question, we'll do our best to get to you. Josephine.
Hello, good evening. The first letter for tonight is from the ACES committee, and this is to the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. We are basically asking for an updated study of small theaters. So the last study was done in 2019. We specifically want to know the economic impact of COVID and recommendations of actionable initiatives that small theaters can take to stimulate growth. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yay, easiest item of the night.
Okay, Josephine. Okay, BLP. We get both of you? Come on up. Stretch your legs.
Hi, everyone. We're items number 2 through 13. Okay. And what we would like to do is pull out item 2, which is 239 West 15th Street, and pull out item number 9, which is 366 West 23rd Street. And then all the others remaining as a group, leave them, unless there are questions. I do want to bring to people's attention that because of the new, still unwritten or unpromulgated outdoor seating, sidewalk, cafes, street dining, etc., we don't have any rules or regs yet. Expecting in the spring. So we have applicants coming with asking for street dining licensing. And our reaction, I want everybody to know, is can't do it. We don't know what the rules and regs are. So the license that you're asking for will only be internal. Nothing for the street, nothing for any sidewalk cafes or street dining. Okay, and a number of the items that we're not talking about right now, but I want to bring to your attention. Item number 6, item number 7, item number 11, item number 13, and the STIPs that we included in those letters, we specifically say does not include outdoor dining. And they agreed. That is our process. The stipulations are what I guess the word is negotiate with the applicants because they sign off. There are cases where they don't sign off, and I want to bring up item number 2, which is an unusual item for us because it's a complete denial. Not denial unless you do these stipulations, it's a denial, not a must. And the reason, if you read letter number 2, the main reason is we tried to negotiate. We have stipulations. And they said they would consider it. And they give us an answer. Day came, no answer. We called them again. Hey, what about the stipulations? Oh, we'll get back to you. Never did. So that to us indicates not particularly good neighborly process. So we said denial. And the letter that is in front of you, item number 2, denial. This is what we're recommending that we send to the SLA. And then in all these letters, now any of the letters that we do have denial, we basically add at the back, and SLA, if you're stupid enough, SLA, if you do give them a license, we would like to include, we would like you to include these stipulations. Okay, and in the case of these denial letters, the applicant never agreed to the stipulations. Okay, that's item number 2. Item number that we also pulled out, item number 9 is what you have before you is deny unless these stipulations are met, but we actually, since we passed that letter in committee, you heard some people actually give it in the public session. They're not doing what they say they're going to be doing. So I am hearing that Inga might have an alternate resolution. Inga?
Should be green. Okay, 1 second. There you go.
Now we got it. Okay, I would like to propose an alternate resolution. Deny straight up. And the reason is multiple people from the neighborhood have been to the place. They have not done anything they said. There are tables outside. They say yes to everything. They said yes at the committee to everything and have done nothing. So we don't think they're going to adhere to any rules regarding a wine, beer, and cider, liquor, whatever license. So I recommend that an alternate motion.
Is there a second to that?
Yes, you did, second.
Okay. Okay, Ted. Oh. Ted said, I'm almost quoting Ted. Ted said, I denied it at the BLP committee and I will support the resolution right now.
Same thing.
I'm supporting that because I denied it and everybody said yes, and I get to say I told you so. So I'm feeling real good. So yes, I'm supporting that motion.
Okay. And I just also would like to bring to people's attention, this is a very unusual, in fact, in all my years on BLP, this is the first time I've seen anything like this kind of license. What this is, are you ready for this? This may be something coming down the road for the future. This is a deli, a bodega that sells beer. You walk in, you want to buy beer, you take it out. I'm just explaining
Well, we have a motion and we have a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so
well,
we have some questions, it sounds like. but
I
do
just
we-
want to explain, I'm trying,
Are the questions on the motion? Okay.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to figure out, is the motion saying that they'd replace letter 9, I guess, with a letter like letter 2? Is that it? And then with the reasons why it would be a denial, is that the
Right.
suggestion?
And the and if the SLA were to go along with a license for this operation, the stipulations would be the ones that we had asked for originally. No consumption of alcohol after 11 p.m., no sidewalk A-frame signs, no outdoor dining, and in the winter, the door should not be more than 8 inches from the property line. I would like to say what kind of place this is.
Okay. I think we're in discussion on the motion though.
Okay, well,
So-
this is content of the motion. That this is a bodega, a deli, that just retail operation right now, but they want to have a license so someone can buy the beer and drink it in the deli.
Okay. Chris, you had a question on the motion?
Question on the motion and just for a formality of vote. So this is gonna go more to Jesse. So are we, if this is an adopted amendment, are we voting on a new letter? Yes for denial on item 9, or are we gonna have a letter from 27. So how are we marking this on our vote sheet?
In your mind, you are, sorry, thank you. You're not adding a new letter.
Okay.
This is replacing the current letter. Yeah, so what you're voting on in the sheet and on your paper, if you have a piece of paper, is just the same item number 9, not an additional letter.
That was a procedural question. Thank you.
One second. Do you have?
Yeah, I think the question that we were having at the BLP is if license can hold 2 separate licenses, one which is serving alcohol and one is a deli license. So those are 2 separate licenses. And we're not sure that they can coexist at the same address legally. I think that's the question that came up at BLP.
So a suggestion, we include that question to BLP in the letter.
Friendly amendment? Yeah.
So that is a amendment, friendly amendment that's accepted. We do have Lowell on Zoom who has a question on letter 9. Lowell, is it a question
one
on
on
the
11.
motion?
I have no on 9. I'll just address 9 now, Jessica. On this one, and it goes to the point that was just made. I have a technical question for you, Bert. For a on-premises liquor consumption license like a bar would normally have, does that liquor have to be served by the establishment? Because it seems to me what they're looking to do is what you talked about. They're looking so, you can buy the beer out of the back display case and then pop it open while you're still standing there. That's not actually serving, I don't think. So if a liquor license is required that the establishment serve the alcohol, then it would fail on those grounds as well, I believe, wouldn't it?
Lowell,
Really, we're at this point really just
Yeah.
taking questions on the amendment. On
I
the
can
proposed
answer that
letter.
though.
but-
It is, they said they would open it at the cash register. So it's the technical serving and they would watch them drink it at the seats. Not a good idea to begin with.
No, this is nonsense. It's nuts. There's been a bodega there.
All right,
for 40
I think we should
years.
reiterate what the motion is with the friendly amendment and we should take a roll. Jesse's suggesting we take a roll call vote at this time. JD, do you have a question on the amendment specifically?
Some discussion about this, right? I'm a little concerned that this was deliberated in your committee. I'd like to know what the chairs or the co-chairs of this committee feel about that, what the vote was. Because all I'm hearing is one person that stood up and said, let's make a denial. She may be absolutely right, but I have no way to judge.
We can hear from the chairs, but I think we also heard from a chair that there's concern about this applicant host committee.
Yeah, JD, that's basically what happened. After the vote, we started getting reports, including from a member of the public tonight, that the applicant has continued to not do things they said they would do. In particular, they have no right to put out outdoor seating. They say they'll remove it, but for the past month, it's just been sitting there. And I think that has given a lot of people, including Bert, me, and Inga, pause about whether they will follow the stipulation. So I'm going to vote in favor of the alternate motion.
Can we repeat? Go ahead, Chris.
So just for context, we have businesses in the district that are beer and cider craft bars, and you have to go up to the counter and imbibe inside, or if they have outdoor seating that's legitimate, they can go out there, but it has to be open at the counter. So businesses like this exist. I think what's really interesting about this is that it's a bodega trying to mask itself as a craft beer or beverage experience. And so that is the more troubling aspect of it, is that they're trying to abuse a system that actually helps New York City and New York State small businesses right now.
Okay.
Actually, I think actually you're enhancing what they're doing. Because I don't think they would even have the word craft beer.
Okay, can you as chairs repeat what you would propose the letter state so that we can then take a roll call vote, which Katie will walk us through.
Okay, the letter will state we deny. We don't feel that we don't trust the applicant to do what they say they were going to do, because since we met in committee, they haven't done. And if they were to have if the SLA were to approve this, these are the stipulations we want. No outdoor dining, no sidewalk A-frame signs, no consumption of alcohol after 11 PM, and the 18-inch, no more than 18 inches for the winter door.
Thank you.
And plus Christine's point about
Question.
asking the SLA to consider whether the same operator can have both a off-premise retail license and an on-premise consumption license.
Great, thank you. Ted's point echoed by Christine. Thank you. We're gonna have Katie go ahead and do a roll call. Thank you.
Thanks. So again, we're not voting on the substance of the letter. We're voting right now. We're going to do a roll call vote about whether or not we are replacing the original letter 9 with what was just suggested by the co-chairs. Okay? So, Ted.
Wait, why do we do?
Someone made an amendment to a letter.
But why is it a roll call is my
Yeah,
question.
Whole different letter, in a different direction.
Right. So, yes. So to be clear, yes is accepting this new version of letter 9.
Yes, Bart
Right.
just summarized the letter.
Yes is just accepting the new version, which was just discussed. No is rejecting the new version, which was just discussed. Okay. All right.
Real quickly, for people online, can you please put your cameras on or members because you have to vote on this?
Jesse, point of order.
Sure.
Why is this a roll call? Why is a voice vote not sufficient on a simple amendment?
Because we can't see everybody the way it is. So it's
Fair enough.
again,
Fair enough.
when we have done this in the past, when we have made it, when someone has made it an amendment to a letter that is a direct opposite direction of the committee, we take a roll call.
Jesse?
Yes.
Fair enough.
So a suggestion.
I don't
So
understand why.
the suggestion,
voting this
we've never
down.
done a roll call for it because it doesn't need to be recorded. So if we take a general poll from people online and in the room, and there is a clear direction, then we would not have to do a roll call.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. The committee voted on one way, right? And now the board is making it an opposite direction. Historically, we've always had just made a roll call on such an action, similar to any other committee. So I don't, if we just move through this real quick, we're done. Really.
Okay. So here we go. Ted. Manha. Roberta. Leslie. Christine. Gwen. Viren. Wilson. Jessica. No, I have to ask you later. Aurora. I thought, Lisa. David. Thank you. Marty.
We
Marty,
visually
I
saw-
need to hear you.
We visually
Yeah.
saw a thumbs up.
Thank you, Marty. Paul. Tina. Pete. Tina. Gina. Feist. Okay, Wendy. Matt. Jesse. Candace. David. Not here. Frank.
Yes.
Josephine. Inga. Carrie.
Yes.
Thank you. Lowell.
Yes.
Raoul. Bert.
Yes.
Christopher. Chris. Rachel. Oh, I didn't see her. Okay, Jeffrey isn't here. Betty.
Yes.
Sanford. Greg. Michael or Mike Noble.
Yes, yes.
JD. Maria. Alan. Brad. Okay, Joe. Dolores. Me, yes. Charlie. Hector, David, Rodney, Alice, Jessica. All right, thank you.
I'll invite our chairs to come back up because I think there were some questions on some of the other letters that if you finished your presentation on the individual letters, but I think there is a question on letter 11. Lowell, go ahead.
Yeah. Two things on letter 11. First of all, I just, on a technical point, I think the application is mismarked because this is within the special West Chelsea district because it's west of 10th Avenue, Bert.
Yeah, it is west of 10th Avenue.
Yeah, so it's marked that it's not in a special district, but it's in the special West Chelsea district, just for
Okay.
good form. The other thing, and you kind of addressed this in your introduction, that we are not approving any outdoor cafe licenses at this point because of we're waiting for new rules on this. But they're not asking, I don't believe, for an in the street license or, something coming under the COVID era rules, if you will. There has been an outdoor cafe at this bar for as long as I can remember, going it back to it being the Half King. I know you know this, Albert. And the part of the issue that the last establishment had there is they couldn't pay the rent because they weren't getting enough income from the tables inside alone, that they rely on that outdoor cafe, which is at the entrance to the High Line. And I don't know if, they even thought about that when they agreed to let this go. I just, this is the kind of place where there's been an outdoor cafe. We should be in favor of this. It helps the establishment. It helps the neighborhood. I'm not sure why we're being such hard asses about this one.
We actually aren't, Lowell. It has to do with the gap in regulations. So there has to be a source of authority to allow outdoor dining.
Even the Frank, the old sidewalk cafe license rules are all gone too?
They are gone. DCA,
Okay.
Department of Consumer Affairs, has nothing to do with sidewalk cafes. The only way to get a license during the COVID times was under the open restaurants program.
Right.
And a judge enjoined further licenses under that program in August. And
Right.
DOB immediately put up on their website, we're not taking any more applications. So there's no one to apply to right now to get approval for outdoor dining until the new permanent regulations are in effect, which we anticipate won't be before early 2024.
Right. No, I understood that the open restaurant piece was gone, but I didn't realize that the old sidewalk cafe piece was gone too, because that's what this establishment has always been. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are going to move on to waterfront parks and environment. Welcome back, Leslie.
WPE guys have one letter this month, and it is on the total renovation redesign of Penn South Playground, which is on Penn South grounds, but is not, it's a Parks playground. It's not a Penn South playground. So everything is listed in the letter. We saw the design. We know there were a few questions. There were two friendly amendments, just one minor, one was a typo, one was about more permeable pavement, which we are including in the edits. There is one line that kind of mostly happened after the meeting, but was talked about the meeting a little bit, which might be a redesign, including a second basketball court, which we are welcome to seeing that redesign. And we make it very clear in our letter that if that is going to happen, we expect Parks to come back to Community Board 4 and show us that redesign. So any questions?
Yeah, I had noticed that last paragraph as well. That was actually spoken about with Parks while it was an active discussion in committee. We called them out because they had repurposed the portion for volleyball, but refused to provide volleyball equipment. It's going to be a pickleball court. So the committee said, no, give us a half basketball court where younger children, where a smaller accessible hoop could be utilized by younger kids and maintain the new full court basketball court as well.
Yeah, I think, yes, there are smaller hoops on the other side where the old dog run is. They're putting those little smaller hoops for younger kids, number one.
So the presentation,
Can I-
there was two options shown. We're asking for an inclusion of a third one.
We're asking if they are going to change the design, that yes.
No,
you're right.
we're,
If they-
we're asking that they do that. We actually suggested that they do that in the committee meeting.
That's, we're asking, so what is the edit, Chris? What is
So
the edit to
The
the?
edit is not that there was a conversation or agreement by the elected officials or by the elected official to push for a redesign, but that the committee had also specifically asked that that volleyball court element be removed and a half basketball court for children under 12 be painted in its replacement.
No, that absolutely no, that was.
That's what was
So,
said in the
so,
committee here.
so when
not
I
that
went to both,
specific.
there was only one public meeting about it.
Yes,
think
that
there
was
was-
last month.
No, hold on, Chris, hold on, please. There was one public meeting about it and it was on the grounds of Penn South and they had a community meeting. And there is a faction that comes every weekend. They're volleyball players. They come all the time and they bring their own equipment. And they've just been going there for years and years and years and using it. So Parks not assured them, but said they would consider them in the redesign, which they did and came to us. What is the question now? There is one basketball court, full-size basketball court. There's one now volleyball court for them for these people to use. What's in question is a second basketball court that they're thinking they might have to take away the swing set. So that's why we want to see a new redesign before they take away any swing set. Especially I don't know if you guys know, this is going to be a really interesting playground for kids with disabilities. And it's going to have a lot of that infrastructure in place. So it'll kind of be slightly a destination playground. So before they take anything out, we are asking them to have another redesign. So we can see that and then kind of go through the process again is that okay?
So I had no clue that there was that wasn't discussed at the committee meeting. So I had no contextual understanding that there was a community meeting that occurred on the property when it was presented to us at Parks last month. That's new to me. And I appreciate that context.
Okay. So is that okay, the way it's written, or I can put an edit? Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jess.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna go to Carrie, who is gonna do our letter for Clue this month.
Thanks. Yeah, we have one letter to LPC. Thank you, Jessica, for writing it, which is a recommendation for approval for ADA upgrades to at 2969 9th Ave, the Church of the Holy Apostles. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Okay. Jesse, excuse me. Come on up.
Thank you. Christine should come up for defensive measures, obviously. This is my first time presenting on behalf of the Transportation Committee, so her support is definitely welcome. Okay, so the two quick ones, and then we'll talk about e-bikes and bikes and the bike letter that's definitely been discussed. So the first, the quick ones, bus permit across from Javits Center, no big deal. The co-naming application for West 50th Street in support of Captain Sullenberger, although we do applaud his heroic efforts of landing a plane on the Hudson, he did not land it on West 50th Street. We did vote down the application recommending that perhaps a memorial or plaque closer to the Hudson River or even a renaming of the Hudson would be more appropriate. The man's been dead for 400 years. It's time. Okay, let's talk bikes. And Councilmember Brewer, I actually really do appreciate that you're still here because I know that this is an issue that you are actively working on. And so we are excited to get this letter to you. We have spent the last 3-4 months taking meetings with a number of stakeholders on this issue, including the deliveristas, the pedestrians for bike safety, who we've heard from this evening, Department of Transportation, several others. We have solicited tons and tons of comments, and the fact of the matter is what is generating the fact of the matter is it's a serious issue. And so we wanted to incorporate as many ideas as we possibly could into the letter. Just for a little context, obviously the relationship between cars, bikes, and pedestrians is at a crisis level in the city. And as many as you know, and as Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel just mentioned, our friend and colleague Jacob Priley was hit by an SUV while riding his bike just last week, and he's suffering life-threatening injuries. And we certainly are thinking about him and hoping for his full and swift recovery. And our committee has and will continue to push for greater protections for bikers. And I think this is certainly going to lead to further letter writing from us. But this letter is specifically about addressing the explosion of electric bikes, mopeds, and app-based bike deliveries that are riding irresponsibly and illegally on our streets, by speeding, going the wrong way in bike lanes, riding on sidewalks. And we heard testimony from countless individuals who have been injured by such activities. So I just gave you the background of how many people we've spoken to. So ultimately, if you read the letter and you look at the letter, it's very long and it does incorporate a number of ideas. But I think just to sum it up for the group here now, I think it all boils down to sort of three main categories: infrastructure, education, and enforcement. So to hit them briefly, on infrastructure, we do recommend the addition of bike corrals, which I can expand on, but that is part of our recommendations. We talk about reducing speed limits for bikes, which includes changing the signal timing to slow bikes down and widening the bike lanes. On education, we do support legislation requiring bike safety courses for commercial cyclists and funding for on-site training for delivery workers at delivery hubs. Enforcement is certainly the theme that we heard the most, and I do understand and appreciate that it is, just like with the illegal dispensaries that I also, have spent a lot of time on. At some point, enforcement is the only solution, or one of the main, a crackdown on illegal behavior needs to start taking place. So the enforcement for us is broken down into two sort of subcategories. We talk about civil fines and penalties on delivery applications for driver infractions. So putting the emphasis on the onus on the actual employers. So for the infractions, including speeding, hitting pedestrians, not wearing vests or identification, which we demand should be enforced. But we also demand new legislation requiring use of GPS technology to set delivery time expectations with customers to limit speeding. So if you know that, a delivery driver has gotten from point A to point B in a time that they only could have made it there if they were speeding, that would trigger an automatic fine. For the NYPD, we do call for the NYPD to create a dedicated unit to issue tickets and fines. But we advocate, as you've heard tonight, for a period of 3 to 6 months of warnings before tickets are issued, since it has been so long since there's been any enforcement in this area. We think it's fair that we give the bike riders and delivery drivers some warning before we start fully fining them. We are opposed to the seizure of vehicles. We do believe that would put undue hardship on those who rely on their vehicles for their only source of income and would ultimately be ineffective. We've seen that a number of delivery workers are renting their bikes from third parties. They will find a means to continue making deliveries, and it'll only put them in a deeper hole to go even faster. So for those reasons, we don't support the seizure of vehicles, but we do support and recommend the issuing of fines. So with that, I and Christine are happy to take questions, and I'm certain we will be speaking about bike corrals, but yes, go ahead.
I'm holding the mic, so I'm going to go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Many comments did come up about the bike corrals, and I understand in principle why that there is this thought that might be a good idea. But what we're seeing in practice, particularly along the corridor of 8th Avenue in the 50s, is what this becomes is a permanent place for illegal vehicles, these electric e-bikes, to be locked up. And it also becomes a hub for activity, which sometimes leads to unintended consequences. So I strongly urge that we actually remove remove that recommendation, as we've heard from many people from the public during the public session, because it actually is creating other issues. While I understand in principle why we advocate for them in general, for this particular topic of delivery, e-bikes, et cetera, advocating for that in those areas is going to actually not benefit cyclists that have nothing to do with delivery. And I'll go to the next questions over here. Whoever you call
Okay.
on, Jessica.
Yeah, yeah.
First of all, good for you for wrestling with this problem. It's a huge problem, and I congratulate you on the letter. I have just two comments. I think there's a lot of emphasis on the delivery people, which is important, but I'd like some emphasis also on meals, that is middle-aged men in Lycra who are running me down all the time, as well as the city bikes. So let's not lose sight of that. My second point is, did it ever come up that there should be a conference or a meeting between NYPD, the deliveristas, and transportation alternatives?
Yeah, I actually, I will answer that question. I know that because the deliveries have their own advocacy group. That's why they have the name.
I'm
And they've
just
been,
suggesting, if I could just finish.
oh, sorry.
That they sit down together to try to work out this problem and to work out something among them, because it's a complicated problem. I just wondered if that came up.
Yes, I will, sorry, I will respond and say, yes, it did come up. And we do know that those meetings have been, they have taken place. But, you know, as we all can see, not necessarily with meaningful change quite yet. But certainly we know that those discussions are happening.
I'm sorry, legislation to hold the employers responsible. Did that?
Yes, sorry. And I did mention that that is a major emphasis on our enforcement ideas. We really need to be, you know, levying fines and civil penalties on the employers.
I thank you guys for the letter. It's a great read. My question was about, I guess it would be the speed limit, I guess. Was there any discussion of like maybe adding actual speed bumps into the bike lanes? I know on Broadway over on CB5 area, a lot of the bike lanes have those, and it dramatically reduces the speed. Like they're not flying past because it's like it's speed bumps. Have you guys discussed that in committee before, or?
We did, but the DOT generally puts those speed limits in places where you have a lot of pedestrians. So you cannot put them everywhere. So that's the way they do it. They do it like at the Port Authority, there is some, and in front of areas where you have a lot. That's why Broadway, you have a lot of pedestrian, therefore you slow down, but not across the board. Yeah.
Is there a way to add in the letter about DOT to maybe find out those areas that are the high speed areas to add those in more in our area? So I feel like up 8th Avenue is a high pedestrian area where by Port Authority there is, but there are other parts that are not, where it's an open range and it's just a flight zone for them.
Yeah, we can add that.
We're gonna go to Leslie, and then I think Hector and Brad, and we feel Betty on.
Great. This is a great letter, and it's also a huge thing to grapple with. As we know, it's been in the neighborhoods for a long, long time. Thank you very much. I'm just going to reiterate, and you guys know, because I told you offline too, what Dolores said, because a bunch of Black associations did do some walkthroughs with DOT. I think Jesse was there at one of them. And the one thing, I mean, this is nitpicking because it's a huge letter and a great letter, is the DOT to install more bike corrals, because what we're finding in certain areas, it might not be in all areas. What Dolores said is that a lot of these deliveristas or moped drivers who now are not even with the deliveristas, they're just are chaining their e-bikes and mopeds overnight, and it's just getting like kind of just the landscape is now just mopeds left there. That's one thing. And the second thing we're finding is that it's kind of letting the delivery apps or businesses off the hook when they should be kind of, they're the ones that should be responsible for housing them, or I shouldn't say housing, giving them bathrooms or space where they can rest or put their bikes. And so we're kind of letting them off the hook with that. And if you can kind of look at that a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn over the bike corral issue to
No, Jesse, I want to,
Christine, who
no,
is ready
Jesse, go
to-
ahead.
who is ready to go. But I will say that the letter does include recommendation
Yes,
for
I see.
additional hubs for delivery drivers, which is very important and will go to that problem. But Christine is ready for the bike corrals.
No, the issue of the bike corral is like when we started to have the bike lanes on 9th Avenue and 8th Avenue, we had a lot of riding on the sidewalk. Because when people park on the sidewalk, you know what they do. They come from the corner and they ride all the way to wherever they park. So a lot of riding on the sidewalk is really driven by parking on the sidewalk. So that's, and when we installed, 5 years ago, some corral in the 30, 36, 37, those areas, it worked really well. I mean, people stopped riding on the sidewalk. So it seemed to us that this is a proven technique to get people off the sidewalk. If you are in the bike lane and you are going to park on the right side, you never get close to the sidewalk and you don't ride on the sidewalk, and it really changes the behavior. We have seen it working. That doesn't mean that maybe we need to be selective where they go. And I think that if there is a problem in one place, we will remove them. So at 55th Street, if we have a problem, we should say, okay, there is a problem, let's remove them. But I don't think we should deny ourselves that solution, which is very, very effective. And that's my view. Is I think this is taking you 50% of the, or 70% of riding on the sidewalk was removed at the time, and it was really effective. So
Thank you. We have more
Yes.
comments from people.
So
who haven't
I
spoken
I
yet.
think we need,
And we do have a time, we didn't say it at the beginning because we actually didn't think we were going to go so late tonight, but we actually have a time limit by which we have to leave this space. So if Brad, you have something new, and then you can pass it to Hector.
Christine, I don't know if this is related, but are they talking about putting actual license plates on anything, like anything electrical? Yeah.
I have signed up to manually put license plates on anything that's like, no, that's in the, is that, oh man. See, the problem is that the letter is so filled with ideas that it's hard. Yes.
right? Everything which is beyond the pedal assist. So that would be every moped, which is
But when you
already,
say license, you mean a tag
yeah,
that can be picked up for
yes,
speeding?
yes.
Thank you.
If you can give it to Hector, and then we're going to go to Betty and a quick time too. Yeah, Hector's going now.
Hector, yeah. This is a great letter, by the way, very detailed. The only issue I'm having right now is the mentioning of non-seizure of electric vehicles that have violated any kind of laws or involved in an accident. I agree they should be ticketed, and yes, they need to be ID'd, obviously, the vehicles, but at some point there has to be some kind of repercussion where the vehicles have to be taken away if they're repeat offenders. I really am against that even being mentioned, that we're against the seizure of these vehicles. Something else has to be come up with.
I think Senator Kruger was talking about aligning the penalties between, the cars and the bikes, right? And so on the cars, they don't seize them, right? So we should have the same procedure.
You need the.
At a certain point, I agree with you. Yeah. So we can.
I think that's a friendly amendment to make it at a certain point.
Thank you.
Okay.
Joe, quickly.
Yeah, Christine, could I just ask you to add what you just said, that we'll try it at a place. If it doesn't work, then we'll advocate removal. I think that's an important thing to say. So it's not like we just do it and it stays, right?
Great.
Thank you. There was agreement on that. And Betty will turn.
Yes, thank you for this wonderful letter. I just wondered,
Our church minister just got in an accident where somebody drove their e-bike into his leg on the sidewalk near Stuyvesant Town and seriously hurt him. And I wanted to know, when somebody has that kind of an accident, is there some kind of procedure that they need to use to deal with this kind of situation, calling out the.
They are supposed to call the police, right? NYPD, and to have a report. One of the things we heard from everybody is that the police does not necessarily take that very seriously. And a lot of people have those kind of accidents, but they can't report. So that is at the beginning of our recommendation, that there is a better data capture for the accidents and for everything, so that we know what's going on. Right now we have numbers which mean nothing.
Oh, I'm glad that you're addressing that, because it's, a serious injury needs to have a serious report.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you to the Transportation Committee.
So I'm just going to summarize what we were perceiving as friendly amendments just real quick. So I have reaching out to DOT to capture where the high speed areas are for potential speed bumps or slowing mechanisms, bike corrals about removing them where they don't work, and being selective to where they about where they go, and giving it thought before you just put in bike corrals, and seizures, advocating for seizures after a certain number of violations in line with how we enforce traffic laws. That's the friendly amendments to the letter. Thank you all very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to turn it now. Thank you. Yes, first timer. We are going to turn it to Jesse to handle the letter from exec. I just want to make a quick note to those who are in the attendees section who have their hands up. We see you, but we are in the board business section. So if you have any comments, you can reach out to Jesse and we can make sure to get you in at the public session at the next meeting, or he can handle your concerns in the interim. Jesse.
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody read the document that was in the Dropbox. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. So the New York State open meetings law had been amended and changed a while ago to allow us to do what we're doing right now, which is to be meeting and have a in-person and a hybrid remote option for folks who couldn't be here for multiple different reasons. And so we all voted on that hybrid policy, our own hybrid policy, based off of that last year. That has been actually maybe 2 years ago. I don't even have to think about it. But anyway, most recently, there was an amendment to that change by this New York State open meeting, by the government, the state government, for the open meetings law, to allow folks who have disabilities and who have self-certify with the body that they work with that they are disabled to be counted as quorum if they are virtual. Okay, so right now, folks that are attending meetings virtually do not count as quorum. Okay, this would allow folks who are disabled. Can't believe that. Okay. Hold on. Hey, everybody on Zoom. We got kicked off again, so we're going to do this from my computer. I'm just turning off the mics, and I'll just yell real loud because I just don't want to deal with any kind of reverb. So anyway, this is already a law. This has happened. There's no change. The law has already happened. All we are doing is amending our current hybrid policy to allow folks who are disabled to attend the they're already allowed to attend the meetings, but to be counted as quorum if they're virtual. So is there any questions on that? On that specific part?
Just disability.
Just the disability. Yes, Inga.
This thing on.
Yeah, you can keep it, you can put it on if you want, but it doesn't matter.
Then maybe.
Yeah.
What if the letter doesn't say anything about a spouse who is immunocompromised or in other words, disabled, and you have one of us coming out here and you're in COVID world, taking it home to a spouse who's immunocompromised or has one lung or something like that.
So
The letter doesn't address that. How
it,
would
it does
you-
address it. It does, it's always addressed it in the other section of it that was originally before, which is the extraordinary circumstance
Right.
situation.
So
So you're not, let's just hypothetically, the person who's part of the board, the board member is not disabled. Their partner is either disabled or extremely compromised in a certain situation. So therefore they do not want to
bring it home.
bring in, put themselves in danger that will put their partner in danger. You would be classifying that as an extraordinary circumstance.
So
Okay?
Yeah, I didn't see.
Yeah,
this.
it's under, it's listed under, I mean, it's not every, what? Yeah, it's a different section, but yes, yep,
That's all. Thank you.
no problem. Anybody else? All right,
Okay.
thank you. So, I hope everybody online heard that. Does anybody online have any questions about this? Okay.
Wait for you.
Betty, can you just tell us if we heard Inga's question so we can now deal with the next presenter?
We definitely heard you.
You did.
Laura was
Yes,
saying yes.
clearly.
We're gonna move now to our new business, which is Housing, Health and Human Services, and it looks like we have Maria presenting these letters.
Do you need me to sit in front of the computer?
Doesn't seem so.
No?
Can you guys hear Maria?
Can you hear me speaking?
Yeah, we can hear her fine.
Okay, we can't hear you, but if you give a thumbs up, Lowell, that looked like a
Lo,
yes.
can you hear
Yes,
me?
he can hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna try to keep my volume up. I used to work as an usher on Broadway, so this is good. This is good practice. I had a lot of practice. How many years? 10 years. Okay, we gotta end soon, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm gonna go short and sweet. I am presenting on the first three letters. Joe is gonna answer any questions about it. And he can add to whatever the intro is that I have. So 21, 22, and letters 23 are about 410, 412 West 46th Street, okay? There are two buildings there. It's 5-story dwellings located in the Special Clinton District. It was purchased in 1999 by the current owners. And since that, well, for several years, there's been a long history of ownership negligence, tenant harassment, and incidences that impact and harm the health, safety, and property of the tenants, which includes over 400 HPD outstanding violations. And there are current the court proceedings began in, I think, 2021. No, I don't remember yet. Wait. 2021, and closing arguments were May.
30th of 23.
Yes, this past May, and there's something else I have to say my notes. Okay, so in the three letters that we have done, 21 is to the judge of the 7A proceeding. We are requesting a final decision on the 7A proceeding that concluded in May. Letter 22, that is to HPD, and we are requesting that HPD. Okay. We are requesting that HPD meet with CB4 and that a 7A administrator is needed. And 23 is to the owner, and this is requesting that they immediately cease harassment of tenants and work with HPD. Any questions, comments, concerns? Can we make them as brief as possible since we have a time limit here, and Joe will respond.
Looks like we're good. Brad, and then, sorry.
Brad, yeah. Just an ocean question.
That was good. That was good.
Brady, do you have a question? No? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Maria.
You're welcome.
Okay, we are going to move to the vote portion of our meeting. We'll be doing, I'm sorry. 2 more letters. Excuse me, 2 more letters. Come on up.
Oh, and welcome to the new CB4 member. I saw you. I'm Maria Ortiz, co-chair of Housing, Health and Human Services. This is Joe. I think she's occupied, but Vana, welcome.
So we have two letters regarding 353 West 57th Street, the Hudson Hotel. That's a very large building that was an SRO. It ran as an actual hotel. And now the new owners who took it about a year and a half ago have started construction work without the necessary certificate of no harassment. The building still has about 23 tenants. They're living through major construction. All that construction is not permitted without getting a certificate of no harassment in advance. So both DOB and HPD have made errors. We've written a letter. If you look at the one in the Dropbox, it's got photos. It shows exactly what's going on. That's one to HPD saying, help us, what are you doing? The second one is to the Commissioner of Buildings, but we need to change the commissioner, that's different. Note that again, laying out this section of the special district says you must get a certificate of no harassment before you do an alteration. This kind of alteration exceeds the ability under that section, and the DOB has given these folks permits under repair. This is not a repair. They're removing walls, changing apartments, putting in bathrooms, putting in kitchens. So those two letters, any questions on those regarding the Hudson Hotel? The next one is on Bill 1099 this year, 23 at City Council. And it's about the Medicare issue where retirees who received Medicare were now told as of a certain date, they must use Medicare Advantage or privatization of Medicare. The Bill 1099 says if you retired by a certain date, you should be able to continue on regular Medicare and not be required to go to Medicare Advantage as a private plan. The underlying issue here was all about people losing their doctors and access to their hospital benefits because the Medicare Advantage would not necessarily have those doctors or individuals in it. Questions? Rachel, yeah. You just keep talking to Tom.
I actually have a question about the 3.1 to make.
Yes.
I'm actually removing my hat as MCB4 and speaking to you as the executive director and YCMUA at this point. And I wanted to say thank you.
You can't speak as a CB4 member. Because we're in a business session. But whatever comments you can make, we can. So any questions on the med? Yes, Bert.
Yeah, I just want to raise right up front my firm. A consultant to the municipal legislature. So I have some disagreements with the language in the letter.
But if your firm is consultant, you obviously have a conflict of interest.
I didn't say obviously.
Well,
I'm saying that I will stand on the vote.
Oh, gotcha. I would recommend.
Financial, if this letter passes, it doesn't affect my financial.
I still would recommend going with the president not eligible to be totally, if your firm is involved at all, just to be clear, right?
Okay. If that's the consensus, I go with the consensus.
No, you can make any.
But I also do want to, some of the language that you saw, and it's black and white, and it's not a loss of the Medicare benefit, it's changing. And also.
The loss of their access to Medicare as opposed to Medicare Advantage. We can clarify that, yes.
Additional Medicare as opposed to Medicare.
Yes, yes. You should clarify that.
That's clear on the language.
Thank you for that. Seriously.
And
It's
it's
sharper than I'm
not,
sorry.
not necessarily they're going to need to education. And they're well working out, they're really people, but they were working out with techniques. Can't guarantee 100%. Most of those positions will be included.
We think the problem with this is that the individuals came to committee actually talked about not having access to their current physicians. So we have to note that.
Yeah, it's a, when you're arguing a position, essentially graduate.
I
Make a point.
gotta say the public came and we have to respond to the public stated.
That's saying that you don't have to respond. I'm saying people make an argument.
Alan.
The issue is about the city 50 some odd years ago providing Medicare.
So just to repeat the question so they can hear online, issue is not just about Medicare, but about the city agreeing to provide Medigap about 50 years ago.
So after Medicare became law, the city council approved the benefit package providing 20% of Medicare. That has been in place for 50 plus years. Unfortunately, it's a complicated issue because it involves funds that were taken out of healthcare fund
I think we noted that in the letter.
Do you have a comment?
Do you have a comment on the letter?
So I'm just saying, it's not just the Medicare
Right.
issue, it's the benefits that retirees have had the last 50+ years. And that is primary issue. Medicare Advantage is not addressed.
Yeah, so the intro to 99 got to like 2023 wasn't part of the day at the quickly. This is pretty much storing up a decision that was written by Judge Frank in New York State Supreme Court, saying that the dilution of medical coverage for city, there should be no dilution of medical coverage if a plan gets changed over by the city. So that's the 1099 is essentially storing.
Just to note, because we went to the trouble of really reading 1099. It's a very short thing. We read it in committee, and it's merely about retrospectively. It's saying going forward, changes can happen, but if you had it, you can't change it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's to prevent dilution.
I'm just trying to put in understandable terms. That's all. Right.
That's what it is. If anybody can go through that.
Betty.
This is.
Sorry.
Betty has something, correct?
Yes.
Betty?
Yeah, hi, I just want to say, I really appreciate that the board is doing this letter. Whatever people are saying who are not on the Zoom, I can't understand what they're saying. It doesn't matter that much to me. But, you know, the technology isn't working for the speakers now. And I assume that I can vote on this, even though I'm a member of the retirees organization. Is that not so?
Huh?
One of the speakers of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, so
Yes.
she should be P&A.
Yeah, you should be P&A better. Because you presented.
Did you say something, Joe?
I'm sorry. You should be P&E because you presented.
Oh, really? Oh, too bad.
We are getting very close to time, so I think we'll take these as
Yeah.
friendly amendments and
No, we have to vote.
we'll roll call vote. Well, Katie, I'm gonna call Katie and Roberta up to do that. I also just wanted to thank everyone for their patience. Hopefully you online can hear me. Thank everyone for their patience as we figured this out. I think overall this is the great setting for us, but we still have some things to address. And I also want to thank all those who helped. Dolores, Maria, Paul doing attendance at the beginning. Thank you guys for stepping up and assisting. I'll turn it to you guys.
Hey, everyone. So we're just going to do this like we've done before. I'm going to call each person's name. You're going to tell me yes, no, abstain, or P&E. And just as a quick reminder, when we get to, letter 9 is now, when you're voting, it's the new letter 9 that we discussed earlier. Okay. All right. So I'm starting with Ted. Thank you. Mana?
Yes, all.
Thank you. Roberta?
Yes, all abstain on
26. Leslie? Christine? For all? Okay. Gwen? Viren? Thank you. Wilson isn't here, I believe. Aurora isn't here, right? Lisa, David? Thank you. Marty?
Yes to all, abstain on 20.
You abstain on 20, you said. Great. Thank you. Paul?
Yes to all.
Tina? Pete? Tina? Matt? Matt Green? Matt Green, P&E on 17, you said? Oh wait, sorry, I put you on as abstain. P&E on 17. Got it. Jesse? Candace?
Yes.
Frank? Josephine? Inga?
Staying on 17, yes.
Got it. Carrie?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Lowell?
Yes to all.
Raoul? You said 24 and 25? P&E, got it. Thank you. Bert?
Yes to all except 26, P and P.
Got it. Chris?
Well, I got a hold, I can't vote yet, so I'm stuck on.
Okay, Rachel?
What number is that letter?
Which
26?
letter?
Well, I'm not gonna argue about it now. So.
Betty, can you put yourself on mute? I'm sorry, Rachel?
He wasn't here.
Oh, sorry. Jeff, no, sorry, he's not here. Betty, can you vote?
Well, yes to all except for 26, that's P&E.
Got it. Sanford? Thank you. Greg? Mike Noble?
Yes to all.
Thank you. JD? Maria? Thank you. Alan? Alan? Thank you. Brad?
That's the wall. 1099, I think Chris got the judge's name wrong.
Okay. Joe?
Yes, wall.
Dolores?
Yes to all.
Me, yes to all. Charlie?
Yes to all.
Hector? David Warren? Rodney? And Alice? What on 26? P&E on 26.
I'm yes to all.
Oh, sorry. Chris, okay, and Jessica. What's your vote, Jessica?
Yes to all. And can you just
Yeah.
anything notable to summarize the people on the.
Okay.
Can't hear you, so if there's anything-
So I don't think there's anything notable. I think we're all good. We got most of,
1 second.
I think we're done with the votes. Just remember, for those of you who are online and anybody, that we all need to submit our vote sheets.
Yeah. Permission to adjourn. We have a first second. So Lawrence, thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for your patience. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Good night. Katie.